Hi, my name is Derek Schwartz, host of the Advisor Lab by Scion. On today's show, our guest is Julia Healey, CEO of United Charitable. Julia is an expert on donor-advised funds, allowing advisors and their clients to increase a donor's ability to do more with their contributions while minimizing their tax liability. We hope you enjoyed today's show. I thought it was interesting. I was looking at your LinkedIn profile and obviously doing a little bit of homework before this. And this is such a great topic, and certainly want to give the listeners opportunity to hear a little bit about your journey to where you are today.
Okay.
But I've been following so much amongst the charitable side of things and the church communities and what they're doing. I saw you follow Tim Tebow, who I love. I started reading a study Bible like 2.5, 3 years ago because I'd never read the Bible. I was actually raised Jewish, but not really. I was never bar mitzvah, but I just want to be like, what's the big deal? Like, what's the big difference? What are they, arguing about? I started really reading and learning about it. I thought it was fascinating. And it was interesting because I think wherever you fall in your religion or you're not religious or whatever, but there's nothing more important than having a life dedicated to service. We all put a lot of lip service to it.
Yeah.
So I include myself. I indict myself on that too. I'm certainly could give way more. But I think it's just an incredibly important topic today because of the Me Too movement and all this just me. I love watching the Olympics, and I was just blown away by how much there's so much self-indulgence in the celebration, and it just seems like there's a lot that's left the culture in terms of that. So this is really exciting, and I'm super pumped to have you on. But that's me with my monologue. Tell me a little bit about your journey, how you got into this area of the charitable world, and how it's tied into the financial advisor community.
Yeah. So I actually started my career, as I said, I went to American University, studied finance and accounting, and really thought that I was going to be a financial advisor. So I started my career as a financial advisor. I worked for Woodbury Financial Services, who was the brokerage arm of Hartford at the time, 20 years ago. Not to date myself, but and it was amazing to me because I always thought financial advisors had such an amazing power to help people. And it was interesting because, like, growing up, my parents really didn't have financial advisors. They did it all, themselves. And my dad was an actuary, worked on Wall Street. So it wasn't like he didn't have access to the information. But, so it was just really interesting how my parents, chose to do their finances. And I was like, okay, I think this is really, and as clients, if we're sick, we go to a doctor, right? If we need help with even personal training, we go to a fitness specialist, right? We do all these things, but talking to somebody about their finances, that was hard. I didn't understand why, like, the profession in general. And I just really wanted to be able to serve and help people. And so that's where I started my career. And I did it for about 3 years. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to go back for my MBA. And I was like, and I'm going to take an easy job. And this is just such the joke, really. It's such a joke. Because I was like, nonprofits aren't real companies. Do you know what I mean? Like,
Mhm.
they don't really need business people in them. And so I started working for a nonprofit, doing kind of reconciliation, working with financial advisors, helping their donor bases, all those things. And now I've been with United Charitable ever since. So
So
yeah.
that's interesting. And this advisors that are being, kind of focused on being these mini wealth offices and wanting to work with the high net worth community and having a really well thought out strategy around, you know, donating and talk about this. So just for a lot of our listeners, what's a donator advisor fund? How does that work?
Yeah, so a donor advised fund, think of it as a charitable savings account. It is just a segregated account that has been donated to the charity. So it can be managed by financial advisors, whether you're a Schwab, it can be managed wherever. But the account is actually owned by the charity, but it's for the benefit of the client. So whether you have clients that want to start building their charitable wealth, right, and they want to put away $500 a month, right, into their charitable savings account, to
Mhm.
start building their charitable wealth, or we have clients that have $5 million in their accounts because they went through some type of, like, life strat, or life happening, or sorry, um, they really went through some life event where there was a death or a sale of a business or something. It really, they needed the charitable tax deduction.
Right.
Um, So it's just really a way for clients to kind of what you talked about, shine a light on their personal giving. I don't know what everybody believes, but I believe that God put a light inside of each one of us that really says where we should be focusing our efforts. We don't all feel the same way about different causes, right? So you may be a cat person, right? I may be a dog person, but both of them need help, whether it's homeless or children or whatever you feel called to. There's a way to get involved, and there's a way to use your funds or your talent, right, or your time really to make a strategy to really focus on giving.
So this would be a solution to a lot of folks who maybe just don't want to go through maybe the work and the process of directly working with a charity. They can go into this fund and just say, "Hey, I know I want to give 100 grand a year away or $1 million. Uh, I don't know the first thing about how to really have to sort through all the different charities and what do we do in the meantime? Like you have to give them some sort of time frame, how quickly you start putting the money away, what portion, and are they involved? Is the client, the donor, ultimately involved in a lot of this, or they're just like, here's tell me about your fund and here you go. You just tell them where
Well,
you want to go.
yeah, they pick the where they give to. So it's all donor advised funds. So we
Okay.
don't make the recommendation on that at all. But what's interesting in what you said is, let's say right now you want to be charitable, but you don't know where you want to give yet, but you
Mhm.
want to give, but you
Right.
you haven't felt that calling or that cause hasn't touched your heartstrings yet. You can still put aside and start building your charitable wealth without distributing it to donor advised funds are allowed to make recommendations to 501(c)(3)s, educational or religious organization, and we also do international giving. So all of these things, but you may not have been called yet, and it's really funny um, because you'll see at different times or different generations. Like when we had the fires in California, how many clients already had their charitable like account sitting there? They were able that night to make a distribution. They didn't have to go talk to their tax accountant. They didn't have to figure out the funds or pull it from this account. They already have the money that is designated to go to charity set aside. So you're really able to react to the things that are important to you. George, all of the stuff that happened, right, with COVID and like Roe versus Wade, all the things that are happening, you're able to react with your charitable dollars.
So does that mean if I put the money in there and it's not actually given to a charity, but it's in this structure, what is it, 503C or B,
Mhm.
you're already being able to now take the tax benefit before, or does it have to wait till the capital actually goes directly to the charity?
We are the charity. So United Charitable is a
Okay,
501(c)(3).
so once I give it to you, I'm done. I'm already getting all the benefits. I don't have to wait. Now it's just about you managing the process of actually deploying the capital to the charities.
Right.
And if
And
I
the
want to
cool
put 100 grand in, and it doesn't go, you guys are investing it in something where I'm earning some yield or return, or
See, that's where we need our financial advisors. And that's why it's so important that financial advisors learn about charitable giving and all the things that they can do to advise their clients. We don't manage money. I don't have a license anymore. Like that was gone a long time ago. So we work with our clients' personal financial advisors. So they are investing the charitable dollars how our clients see fit. So, for example, I have clients that say, hey, listen, I want to give a huge gift. I'll put away $15,000 a year for the next 10 years, but I'm then going to give a huge gift at the end of that. The financial advisor will come up with the investment strategy that works for that. I have some clients that say, hey, listen, I'm going to put in a lump sum, $200,000 a year. How much can I give away each year without touching principal? So we need our financial advisors to know about these different types of accounts because they do have to work with their clients on their charitable
yeah.
accounts. And all the statistics, it's so funny. After your spouse, the second person that you talk to about it's like about charitable giving is your financial advisor. And so that's why we really want to make sure at United Charitable that financial advisors have all the tools that they need in order to really have these value conversations with their clients, um, because they really can make such a huge impact, right? When you're really holistically talking about not only your clients' vacation homes or their retirement, but you're really talking about what legacy they, how do they want to teach the next generation about giving? Does the next generation want to still be involved in the donor advised fund account? There's so many opportunities.
So I'm an advisor at Raymond James or whomever. I
Yep.
decide, wow, this is a great way for me to differentiate my practice. I can put this on the table along with all the other bells and whistles that I offer a client. How do they get involved in working with you?
Well, on our website, we work with, again, we're an independent donor advised fund. So we are able to work with all sorts of different financial advisors, mostly with RIAs. But it's on our website. Call us. That's one of the best thing about it is that we will be involved in the way that you want us to be involved. If you guys want to do the value conversation, if you guys want to create like the family mission statement, we will let you do that in your, if you want us to come in and help you do all of that, we will join right in. We just want to make sure people are talking about their purpose.
Okay, so that's great. So this isn't like I just go on your website and it's just a digital experience. They actually get real support from people who will talk with them and work with them and guide them through this process.
Absolutely. And the best thing about this too is that we don't have a 1-800 number. You actually call and you will talk to somebody, like two rings, it'll pick up, you'll talk to
Yep.
somebody.
Wow.
And it'll be really interesting because we have
Yeah.
about 650 clients. The fact that some of our account man remember dog names or what happened, or you know
Yeah.
what I mean? So
Yeah.
it's really cool to see, because you wouldn't, that's probably the funnest part of my job is I get to see what all people are called to do or give to.
Yeah.
And if you have a chance, go to our website. We also have a blog that we put out every Friday, and it's one of our clients sharing why they gave to what organization. And if you hear their stories and you see the pictures around how people have been touched by other people and the community it creates, it's so heartwarming. And in this, in the world we live in where it can be a little bit negative at times,
A little.
um, just a little.
Yeah.
Not with all the political stuff going on right now, but no,
Yeah.
but just a little. Like you can really see how people, no matter what, stick to the causes that they believe in, and that's just so inspiring because it truly makes me believe that change is absolutely possible.
Absolutely. I heard a really awesome anecdote one time, and this doctor was talking about when you witness somebody doing something generous and kind, giving somebody, maybe it's money on the street or helping somebody who dropped their phone, anything, there's the dopamine release in your brain. This is what they use, right, for antidepressants. Any kind of act of kindness or giving immediately
Yeah,
triggers a chemical reaction in the human body, and you release dopamine, which is that rush, right? And not only that, but witnessing two people in a giving exercise, the witnessing person observing it actually releases dopamine. So just reading articles, I mean, it really does so much for your own personal health and happiness to do acts of generosity, to witness acts of generosity. And I agree. Again, that's why I started the pod with this. I just think it's probably always seems whatever generation you're living in that we need more of it. But um, tell me this: why do you think you're seeing growing numbers in this? Right, you're seeing growing numbers in these donor conversions. I'm assuming from your business. Is there anything specific that you would draw the correlation to? People just becoming more generous, or is just the innovativeness of this type of way to do it, the convenience of it?
yeah, I think it's the convenience of it. I think donor advised funds have become an incredibly popular vehicle. Not only of the convenience of it, it's people know they want to be charitable, but sometimes it's hard for people if you're going to have a life event to commit $1 million to one organization.
Hmm.
And so having the donor advised fund, you're able to commit it to charity, but just not one organization. You're able to really take your time. And you're also able to do what I think is incredible, which is really help charities in the United States or internationally become sustainable by giving them 5-year gifts, right? Maybe what would it look like if we gave them $50,000 a year for 5 years, 10 years? You can really partner with your nonprofits and help create sustainability. Um, because if a nonprofit gets a big gift at once, it could go to the capital, it could go all sorts of different ways, but now you have a real chance to create this relationship, and create a funding stream for a nonprofit, and that can be really beneficial.
So that type of ability to sort of lengthen this giving out. I mean, I imagine that plays a big part of why these are popular, right? For a lot of folks are thinking about multi-generational donating, charitable giving, making sure, your grandchildren and their children are going to continue to giving. Has that come up a lot, I imagine?
It is my absolute favorite. And so we've been around for 14 years. And so I've now got to see a bunch turnover from either in the family office space, Gen 1 to Gen 2, or just even some of our smaller accounts going on to the next generation, and to see how they really honor the legacy of their family, but also, too, how they really used charitable giving to create a framework of how do you remember people and how do you honor people. And I love it because then usually the financial advisor stays from, the generation 1 to generation 2.
Hmm.
And that's the best because then we don't see a disruption in the giving, right? They know everything about it. So it really helps too financial advisors still maintain that client, right? From when, somebody passes and the assets get distributed, sometimes those financial advisors may lose those clients. But with the donor advised fund, you already have the relationship with the next generation. You're already managing the account, so it makes it really consistent.
That is, yeah, that makes so much sense. That's brilliant. Well, now we have just, this unbelievable opportunity is being talked about for so long, right? It's this transfer of wealth that's going to go from the boomers to the millennials. I don't know how my generation, the Xers, just got left out. We're not getting
Yeah.
anything, which I think is hysterical. But um, there's just going to be a massive transfer of wealth, and in that, just a ton of legacy planning, right? And I would imagine that you've been there, what, 14 years almost now?
Yeah.
And what's the growth been like? Insane.
Well, it's interesting though, because the newer generations, everybody wants different things,
Yeah.
right? And so that's been really cool to try to to really try to, again, we believe our purpose is to serve. So like, how do we really serve our clients? And one of the things that, we're starting now is that the next generation, they want to actually hands-on learn how to vet a charity. So they want us, so we've been arranging actual trips where we go in and we learn, how do you evaluate a soup kitchen? How do you know this is the right soup kitchen to give to? How do you get involved in it? Do you serve the soup? Do you help clean? Do you write the thank you notes to the donors? Do you really look at, other distributions? Like, where are you talented? So not only do they want to give money, but they also want to figure out how a way to make it like almost like a double impact in the next generation. So they want to be able to figure out how to get involved more. And again, it's not just about writing a check. It's more about, okay, well, now that we've written this check, how is that meaningful? And so we see a lot more people wanting impact reports and great expenditure responsibility. Like, it's all sorts of cool things that are coming with this new generation or the transfer, because we see them getting involved way more. Even just in, we have a lot of clients that care about the social media of, now I'm talking about like the younger generation. So but just caring about the social media and what those impacts of the accounts look like. And but it's just so interesting because who would have thought in that, social proof and social media is really something that donors are looking for to make sure that they're seeing the impact and they can feel it.
Well, it brings up a good point that I think is challenging, right? So you mentioned Tim Tebow, and I came across an Instagram reel, and I'm assuming it's authentic. And he's talking about the issue of missing children and human trafficking and raising money.
Yep.
And I almost hit the donate thing, right? But then I'm like, I don't know. How do I know this is real? Like, maybe this is a fake. Maybe this is AI. I have no idea. I get hit with things all the time. We all do now, especially so social media. It's like a double-edged sword. It's an amazing tool. I've seen people raise money and do these personal fundraisers for, oh, I need a swimming pool, or my kid's going to, you could
Right.
get, but now I'm like, I don't know if any of this is real anymore. So I don't want to not give to it, but I also don't know if it's some fake thing and I'm giving my money to some drug dealers or Bitcoin. I have no idea anymore. So now I just don't want to give to anybody unless literally I walk over to you and hand you the money. And I'm like, oh, I know Angela. She works for St. Jude's. I'm going to get that money's going to go to the hospital and I'm good. So let alone do I want to vet them about, well, wait, the CEO of this charity makes 780 grand a year? Okay, that seems a little much. Like, let alone like figure out where all the money's going. I just want to know that
Yeah.
it's actually legitimate.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's a challenge, right? And that's a big reason why I would want to go with your firm. I'm trusting you're going to do the homework because there's a lot of work that goes into that, which is what you're talking about.
Absolutely. And vetting a charity is incredibly important. And some of our clients ask for certain information, but when we vet the charity, we look at basically independent board. We want to make sure that all decisions are made independently. We look at public support tests to make sure that you are raising the funds from the public. We want to make sure that any of your impact reports are out there. We want to make sure that you have a valid bank account. Like those are some real important things to make sure that um, charities are really doing the work that they're saying that they're doing.
Right.
Um, but that's another reason to go with the donor advised fund because every donor advised fund has to do all of their vetting.
And I imagine you must just get constantly, you're pretty big now, right? I mean, you must get solicited by the Tebows of the world and all these other peaks, right? They're like, please vet us, please put us in your lineup, right? Or do you get a
So
lot of
that
clients who say, hey, I want you to look at this charity. Please vet it for me. And will you vet everyone that they ask for?
we have to vet everyone that they ask for. So
Won't
we
just
do
say,
the
no, we got
vetting of
too many. Sorry, you're going to have to take this one. They do
nope,
the same thing.
nope. So when you go on to line or when you go on the app or when you go online to make the recommendation, we actually hook into the 50 or the IRS 501c3 non-exempt
Okay.
organization
Right.
where you can see all of the charities that you can give to. And what we'll do is we'll vet them every single time that our clients request a distribution.
Hmm.
But that's one of the beauties of a donor advised fund is that now United Charitable would get the solicitation, not the client. So you're not going to get a ton of mail now coming to your report, like coming to your house with like, you're not going to get a ton of those phone calls because it's the donor advised fund company. So when we send the check or the ACH, it says United Charitable for the benefit of your account name. Now, if you put your account name is something that identifies you, but some of our clients don't, and some of our clients give anonymously. So it really gives them the ability to not be solicited like that because that once you get on some of those donor lists, and donor lists are sold. So like once you get on those donor lists, it can be a lot for people.
Yeah. So, but you've been doing this for a long time. Advisors haven't been a big part of it for, a long time, right? A lot of this was just individual donors coming to you and saying, I want to do a donor advised fund, or a corporation coming to you and saying, we want to set this up for our employees. We want to, make this part of the kind of the fabric of our culture here that we suggest or we encourage people to donate. And you're going to do it through this donor advised fund type structure.
So financial advisors has always been important since the beginning
Yeah.
because even if a client does come to us, we can't give investment advice.
Okay.
So then we would ask them to call their financial advisor and we bring the financial advisor into the conversation.
I got you.
Yeah. But some of the smaller gifts, again, we wouldn't need the financial advisor if you're only giving, a couple $1,000s away. But the financial advisors really are the ones that have the ability to look at the financial plan and the CPAs to really make sure that this makes sense to our clients, right? For their charitable tax deduction and what strategy they going with, and with the bunching strategy and all that amazing stuff. It's really the financial advisors that have the ability to talk to their clients about it.
That makes sense. That makes sense. Well, this has been great. I really enjoyed this. It's been a big education for me. Is there anything that you would like to leave the listeners with in respects to United or the overall industry and your your excitement around it?
Yeah, I'm going to say two things. The first one being you do not need to be Bill Gates to be a philanthropist. So if you even start with $100 a month or something where you just start exercising the muscle of giving, it's something that once you just start, you'll
Hmm.
keep doing. Because again, those dopamine, everything that you just talked about, it can help with so many different things. Also, too, if you didn't get the feeling that you wanted to get out of it, that means you're not giving to the right places and you can change it. So nothing is set in stone. It's something that really you just need to figure out what's the best place and just start. And I think the second thing that I want to say is that when you can see a donor advised fund being passed down from one generation to the next, it is the most amazing thing to create that really a strong family that believes and talks about what their impact could be. And that has been probably one of my most favorite things, is when you can hear some of the same sentences that came from the first generation, and then you
Yeah.
hear that second, right? And they say some of the same things, and you're like, it's just the most, being a mom, like it's just the most heartwarming thing to know that you're the one that can really create that strength in a family through giving, and that be your legacy. It's powerful.
Yeah. I think that's amazing. You're so right. When you can witness the legacy being passed on, that's so powerful. Well, this was great. I really appreciate you coming on the show, and we'll hope to have you back again soon. Thank you so
Yeah.
much.
Awesome. Thank you.
This audio is for informational purposes only and should not be relied upon as investment advice. This audio may not be copied, quoted, or referenced without Scion Investments' prior written consent. Do not rely on any opinions, predictions, or forward-looking statements contained herein. The views expressed do not constitute an offer to sell or a solicitation to purchase securities. Neither Scion Investments nor its affiliates and/or subsidiaries warrant its completeness or accuracy and should not be relied upon as such. Certain information contained in this video may constitute forward-looking statements that are inherently unreliable, and actual events or results may differ materially from those reflected or contemplated herein. Scion Investments expressly disclaims any obligation or undertaking to update or revise any such forward-looking statements. Any historical discussion is not indicative of future results. There will be no assurance that any strategy will achieve its intended return, and actual returns may differ materially from the discussion. Please be aware of the real risk of loss in following any strategy or investment discussed. Investments and strategies may not be suitable for you and are not intended to be recommendations. It does not take into account your particular investment objectives and financial situation. You must make an independent decision regarding any investments or strategies mentioned while considering suitability for your particular circumstances. Please contact your investment advisor for advice. Business development initiatives should be cleared with your respective compliance and legal departments. Discussions on these topics should not be construed as compliance or legal advice. It is at the discretion of each respective firm if any practices will be allowed.